My name is Horsfall. I'm the Dynamics Group Lead in the Environmental Test Division at RAL Space. Well, I think I always wanted to be a rocket scientist. It just took me about 50 years to get there. So I've been working in the defence industry, actually ran a ballistics test lab for the best part of 20 years. I started to get more interested in space since about 2010. Then in about 2018, I did an Open University postgraduate course in space science to get a much better idea of the detail of how things work. And then a year after that, I started at RAL Space running the Dynamics group. And the group here really does test work, which is very similar to stuff I used to do, just on a different type of sample for a different type of purpose. I used to test ballistic systems and armour, and now I test bits of spacecraft instead. So my role is to manage the group that tries to reproduce the dynamic mechanical environment the spacecraft or satellites see during launch of something, during operation. So typically we're taking subsystems of the satellite or small satellites, maybe 50 kilograms, and subject them to vibration loads, simulate a rocket launch, and shocks to simulate things like separation of rocket stage. Currently, we're limited to relatively small items, but with the National Satellite Test Facility which is currently being built, we'll be able to test items up to about the size of a small bus. So I think it's maybe 7 tons in weight and 4 or 5 meters long. Satellites and spacecraft are different from many other things that we're used to dealing with, in that they're very expensive and we don't get to fix them. So it's very important that when it's launched, it works. And my job is to make sure that it can resist the fairly rough treatment it gets on the way up, and when it gets there, that it works properly. So the lab is set up to take components of satellite and spacecraft, to treat them very, very carefully, to be very careful about how we instrument them and how we treat them, and then to subject them to the environment and record how they behave during that. And then afterwards, they're checked to make sure that they still function. Obviously, if they go wrong during launch, then vast amount of money is being wasted in launching it. Potentially not only will that satellite suffer, but something else which is on the same launch might also suffer. So it's really important they're able to resist the environment if they are subjected. I think there are 2 things I really like about this job. One is being able to go outside at night, look at the stars and the planets, and think about things that we're going to do that are going to send something out. At some point in the fairly near future, I'm going to be able to watch a light go overhead and know that I touched that thing whilst it was being prepared, ready for launch. And that's particularly why I really like about it and why I want to do it. The other thing that's quite nice is that this industry is a growing industry. It's an expanding and developing industry. So we're recruiting people all the time. We're putting new equipment in. And it's nice to be in an environment where things are expanding and going upwards and getting bigger all the time. I think one of the things that sets RAL Spaces apart is that almost everyone in the organisation, right up to the high levels of management, are here because they want to be involved in space missions and science in space. And this leads to a set of people who are committed to getting the missions completed, committed to getting the results from individual science missions or from commercial missions. And that makes it a really nice place to work with a set of people who are all pulling in the same direction. And I value that. I think like any industry, what you have to do is decide what you actually enjoy doing and go out and do that. And if you're good at it, hopefully somebody will pay you to do it. You can put a lot of planning in, but it's very difficult to actually go where you plan to go. You tend to end up somewhere by a series of fortunate or unfortunate events, which are very, very difficult to plan to. So I find the best thing to do is to do what I enjoy doing and see where the flow takes me.